Shalom, dear friends. So, I am very aware that I have a soft voice. I brought my mic very close to me. I checked the settings and the sound is to the max. So, if you have a difficulty hearing me, just make sure you have headphones or you come closer. Welcome. Welcome in this space. I want to invite us to start by taking 3 breaths together of landing together. Let's close our eyes and take a beautiful breath in. And a delightful breath out. A beautiful breath in again. And with the next out breath, landing a little deeper in this space, in this moment. And one last one to release any tensions, to soften all the muscles of the face, to soften the shoulders. Smiling relaxes the whole system, so smile. Also because we're in the month of Adar, we talked about it yesterday, the month where we can dare believing that things can be overturned, that the descents can become ascents. So taking a moment to dedicate our practice today, if you'd like, again, to who you dedicated your practice to, and really dedicating your most beautiful presence, the energy of your presence for this person or for this group of people. And dedication is very, very powerful. So friends, we're in a journey of meditation this week and of exploration of how to navigate the inevitable descents and ascents of life and also of our spiritual practice, right? That sometimes it feels so easy and pleasant, and sometimes we just don't want to come to sit, and we feel restless and we feel in regression sometimes. And so, how can we move through these without resisting, without rejecting one, because one doesn't go without the other? And so we started on Monday by kind of setting the stage with the Maharal of Prague, who was reminding us that in a way the descents are there to help us see the ascents, to help us appreciate the good times, the light. Darkness is here to help us see the light. And if you look at shadows on the street on a sunny day, you'll see that. And he was inviting us to think of the interplay between Geula and Galut as exile and Geula as redemption. And I was inviting us to read this in the lens of the Meor Einaim, who talks about, in a spiritual level, Galut Hada'at, the exile of awareness, which is maybe a mind state that most of us kind of live with before we start any kind of self-awareness practice, reflexivity practice, inquiry, therapy, meditation, just awareness in exile. And so one of the best ways to navigate the descents towards the next ascent is just to keep being aware of what's going on. That's the first thing. So that's what we saw the first day. And we kind of started the week with our tool to play attention, right? Not just paying attention, but playing attention, just in honor of the month of Adar, that we may be playful to increase in joy. And yesterday we saw the kind of second wing, if you will, of this art of navigating descents and ascents, one being awareness, and the other one being, I suggest, humility. Because when I am humble, truly humble, then I can really go with. I'm not resisting, I'm just surrendering when I need to. And I'm also showing up and standing up when I need to. I'm going with. And yesterday we saw one aspect of humility, very important, which is knowing our worth. no less, and also no more. And because this whole week we're kind of playing in between the stories of Kitissa, the parasha Kitissa, and also the story of Purim, the Megillat Esther, I was kind of, showing that on the one hand, Parashat Kitissa opens on the census of Bnei Israel, who have to give a half shekel to really highlight that nobody is worth more than anyone else. And we saw that there is this thing in the Megillah, in Megillat Esther, that Haman, once he's elevated by the king, he wants to be even more elevated. And then he asks everyone to bow down to him. And Mordechai refuses because he knows his worth. And that we can see there may be a hint to what we did with the golden calf, the bowing down to it, but also the getting up to celebrate. So kind of surrendering to the wrong idol in a way, and also getting up with a kind of infatuation, a lack of humility. And today I want to invite us to look at another aspect of it with the Mea Shiloach, with the commentary on this rabbi, on the parasha Kitissa also, of the Ishbitzer rabbi, who is talking about something that is seemingly completely not related to what we're seeing. He's talking about Netilat Yadayim, the ritual of hand washing. And, he's reminding us that at the beginning of our parasha, the Kohen is instructed to wash their hands so that they can surrender their will to the divine. And I'm going to share my soul sheet with you. You don't have to look at it. You can just stay there with your eyes closed if you'd like. I'm just going to show it for a couple of moments before we go into our meditation. That's the commentary on the second kind of theme in Parashat Kitissa, the hand washing of the Kohen. And what is the goal of this ritual for the Mea Shiloach? It's מבטל דעתו ורצונו נגד רצון השם יתברך. ביטול דעת, the surrendering, nullification literally, but I don't like how it sounds, so kind of surrendering my consciousness and רצונו, my רצון, my will, to the will of God. Basically saying, as I'm getting ready to serve avodah, that's really what the Kohen is doing, I really want to surrender my will so that I'm doing God's will. And why is it relevant to us? Because today we don't have a temple. We've been for 2,000 years without a temple. And so now the temple is in our homes. And it's about each of us now. It's up to each of us to wash our hands ritually. And the Ishbitzer Rebbe, who was already writing in this exile, in this galut of Jews without a temple, is talking about us, friends. He's talking about each of us. And he's saying, for us also, when we have the injunction, the invitation to litol yadeinu here, to do netilat yadayim, shacharit vekodem seuda, in the morning and before we eat, it's really an invitation before we take care of the needs of the body. Tzarich tefillah l'Hashem yitbarach. It's a form of prayer towards God, just like the Kohen, to really surrender our will to the divine, to divine will. Why? So that lo yekabel rak koach hatov, so that there is only goodness from our actions. Because when we eat, we get energy, and energy is going to become action. And so if I wash my hands ritually before I eat, then I'm setting an intention that the energy I receive from this food, I'm going to use it, I'm going to channel it towards the good. And I do it through surrendering my own will to the divine. And how is this connected, friends, to descents and ascents? This is the opening of Parashat Kitissa, that we have this instruction. And then suddenly we see Chet HaEgel, we see the sin of the golden calf. And so basically, Bnei Israel were just given this instruction, and then they fail, they forget, and they fall. They don't surrender their will. They have the will to be reassured. I'm saying this, I'm not judging them, by the way. They're afraid and they feel the need to be reassured. And so they do what they do. They do what they do. And when I was reading this, it made me think of really what is said in the Talmud, in Masechet Megillah, which is about Purim also. And exactly when thinking about the episode that we saw yesterday, when Haman is elevated by the king, the Talmud says, "Acharei advarim haele." After these things, the king Achashverosh elevated Haman. And the Talmud is asking, why do you say after these things? Which things? And the Talmud says, well, the fact that God is going to bring the refuah, is going to bring the healing to Bnei Israel. Meaning, and then the Talmud continues by saying, the divine doesn't send a makkah, doesn't send doesn't strike Israel before it creates the remedy. And you may be familiar with this expression that the remedy comes before the disease, comes before the hurt. And to me, that may be the meaning of the teaching of Netilat Yadayim before our descent, our spiritual descent with the Chet HaEgel. That we got the remedy, and that the remedy is as simple as a gesture of mindfulness, an embodied gesture that's going to be, as I do this, it's physical, it's palpable, so it's kind of getting my attention, and I'm washing my hands to really dedicate my actions to the good, to goodness. And that was taught before we fell, so that we can get up again after. This is the very, very deep Jewish principle. And I want to read you directly, actually, from the Talmud. It's Resh Lakish who says, En HaKadosh Baruch Hu makeh et Israel. The divine doesn't hurt Israel, Ele im ken boreh lahem refuah tchila, except if he creates for them the remedy before. And so this is an invitation to believe that when something happens to us, something that's not easy, the remedy was already given. And that is also a great source of hope. And on the more pragmatic levels, friends, we're going to meditate now. And I want to invite us through our meditation to keep paying attention, to keep playing, coming back from Galut Adat, from exile of awareness, to Geula, to the redemption that is full presence and awareness. And if ever we meet through our meditation, which is very likely to happen, drowsiness, boredom, restlessness, right? Difficult thoughts, maybe. I want to invite you to think, oh, the remedy was given. The remedy was given before. What would be the remedy for me now? And that's a great inquiry. What would be the remedy for me now? And maybe for some of you, it will be to hug yourself. Maybe it will be to really ask the pain what it wants to tell you if you're having difficult thoughts. It could be taking a big, generous breath to wake up. It could be sending compassion to yourself. So many things, but the answer will be yours and will be unique. So friends, let's sit. I want to invite you to recommit in this moment for these 10 very, very precious minutes of meditation. Keeping in mind that you're sitting for someone right now, for the one you dedicated your practice to. And so that you want to sit with a beautiful presence, beautiful dedication. Alert, but also very, very at ease, very relaxed. And my eyes are closed and my back gets longer. If it's helpful for you, you can choose either an anchor, a point in your body that you can come back to during this meditation. To come back to presence, it can be your feet on the floor, your hands on your lap. It can be the next in-breath. Or it can be a word, an intention, Geula. Brucha הבאה, ברוך הבא. Welcome back to presence. And so let's navigate the ups and downs of a meditation sit together with a lot of softness and curiosity. Finding for ourselves what is our unique remedy when we lost track or when we struggle in our meditation. And I commit and recommit to my practice just through committing to stillness, moment after moment, making stillness my best friend. What is the remedy for this moment? If I am struggling with staying present, if I'm falling asleep, if I'm restless, if I'm bored. These are all hindrances at the beginning of the path. But if I find my own remedy so I can sit through this descent, then it will become an ascent. And I can really, really access this realm, this other state of being, this other frequency. So vast, clear, present, and pleasant that meditation offers. What is my descent in this moment? Perhaps in this seat. And what is the remedy? What is my remedy? And can I, for the last minute of our seat, let myself be guided, surrender my ratzon and my consciousness, my dat, ratzon, will, and dat consciousness to the divine. Another meditation today is coming to a close. Let's reconnect to our dedication, to our opening dedication, to the person we love, or the people or the group of people we want to offer the energy of the presence we put in this practice right now too. And let us offer them like a gift, the energy that we gathered here, each of us in together. Taking a beautiful breath in and out. A moment of thanking ourselves for making the time in our day to meditate and for our beautiful presence, the beautiful way we showed up. And let's get ready to say Kaddish with Rabbi Jenny.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you for your presence. So everyone, we turn at this time to Kaddish Yatom. If you are observing a yard site or in mourning or have the custom of reciting Kaddish, I invite you to do so now, and you can feel free to unmute yourself and hear your own voice. Yitkadal, Vitkadal,
Vikadash me Rabbah,
Rabbah,
Vrati
Shmira,
Amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen. Shukach, everyone. So this concludes the formal part of our sit, but I invite folks who have time to stay on. We're going to have some opportunity for conversation with Mira. Feel free to put any questions or reflections on your practice that you may have in the chat. And if you want to just sort of write in all caps question, that will help me see your thoughts, your words, so we can incorporate that into the conversation. But if you're leaving now, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mira, for such a beautiful offering. All right. So, oh, good. I'm already seeing some questions here. Mira, I'm wondering if you might start actually talking about, I love the reference to Nitilat Yadayim, of raising the hands before we eat, because I'm also, I think a lot about my own mindfulness practice and the act of eating,
Mhm.
and how those two things come together. And I know that for myself, one of the ways in which my mindfulness practice has been so healing is that eating is often a place where I get lost and descend. And so this idea, I was even thinking as you were speaking about the surrendering of my ratzon, of my will. Maybe another way of saying that is sort of aligning my ratzon, my will, with the divine will, or listening for the divine will. Even in the act of eating, how that works or resonates for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think the topic of eating is really glad you're bringing it, because I think we don't talk about it as much as it deserves, that it really is a place of struggle for actually most humans,
Yes.
men and women, not just women, because we talk about it, right? Because it's such a basic impulse. First of all, evolutionary, we used to be in the bush, we used to be hunter-gatherers, and so when there was something with like fruit on a tree, we would just have as much as we could, right? So there's this reptilian brain first, and then it's also the first nourishment that we receive is here. We're very oral beings. And so it's very, very deep. It's very deep. And as you say, I think it's so important to say, we um, we can come with the best intentions. When we start, when in action, we can lose the mindfulness. And I love the way you reframed it in a way that the term in Hebrew levatel, to annul, it can be misunderstood, or because it can sound harsh, and so I use surrender, but I like yours even better because it's more positive. It's I'm aligned, because that's what it is. Levatel and surrender is aligning myself to the divine, and so instead of being like in a battle, I am with the force of life. And the force of life, if you remember yourself, perhaps I remember myself when I was a child. I actually literally remember observing myself eating and noticing how the taste of food, as I was becoming more satiated, was becoming less interesting, sorry, until I got to that point where I was like, oh, I've had enough, don't need more. And it was just so simple. And that is being aligned with God. Yeah. Because God just, when I'm saying God, by the way, it's a code name for the source of life. When we're aligned with life, the body takes care of itself.
Yes. Yes.
And so I think this may be the term to remember the most, right? My mind, my ego doesn't always have the best ideas. There is a Hasidic master, I can't remember his name. He was literally saying that going to eat is like going to war, because we go to war with our instincts, our impulses, our unfulfilled needs, you know. And so I think it's important to approach it with compassion, and with also some kind of awareness and some form of self-discipline, but also great compassion, great compassion, and just wanting to be aligned with nature,
Yeah. Yeah.
coming
And
back
just
toward true nature. Mm?
Yeah, I was just thinking, just as you shared with us, the remedy is already created before the hurt, before the pain. I'm thinking about this in the context of the experience of eating, that we're actually, most of us, most of the time, are endowed with a kind of sense of a knowing when we've reached enough, when we've eaten the thing that we actually needed or wanted, and we're nourished. But it's, again, for many of us, it's easy to fall into that galut of awareness, and we lose sight. But to then come back into remembering that knowing is there. We can reattach to that kind of knowing. So powerful.
Yeah,
It's been all right.
yeah,
So many
and
questions here. Yeah. Please.
no, I've just seen a few interesting questions about meditation. So
Great.
um,
Vaksha.
yeah, so So Lester is saying, when feeling those urges to adjust, is the remedy to actually adjust or to just acknowledge the thought, the urge, and just continue in stillness? It's a great question, so I wanted to address it. And before we have another one about how to stay present during meditation. So I think it can be good. So Lester, I think you wrote the key word here, and the key word is urge. Any urge, I would be wary of any urge in meditation. Now, joke apart, this is why I always insist, usually when I lead a meditation and when I sit myself, on making the time to set up the body, to really settle in a posture that I know is going to be comfortable and how do you say, like, it's going to be possible. Sometimes I've been sitting for a long time. I'm sitting on the ground right now on a cushion. I sit like this even when I work. I sit like this even when I'm sitting on a chair. I sit like this. Okay, it's that comfortable for me. But sometimes when I go on retreat and I see people, they don't have the flexibility or the habit that I have, and they come and they sit like straight and their knees are here, and I know I'm seeing them and I'm like, you're not going to last 3 minutes, and then it hurts and it's unbearable and it's not necessary. And so I think that would be the first thing. Speaking of the remedy before, sit in a way that is comfortable. And usually in 20 minutes, it would be rare that you would feel pain. If you do, so the urge to adjust, does it mean that there is really a pain and something that feels like dangerous? Then by all means, move. If it's just, I just feel like I want to move then I would really say, the urge is the best indicator that this is what I need to sit through in stillness, especially if it feels like an urge. Because on the other side of the urge, if I resist the urge, if I stay still through the urge, then I'm going to get somewhere that wants to be seen. The urge is really a temptation for me to get out of presence. Yeah. Do you want to add anything, Jenny?
Beautiful. No, I love that. I'm looking here, other questions. Karen asks, in a teaching about the descent to ascend, I remember learning that when we come up from the darkness of the descent, we can bring up holy sparks of others with us. I'm finding that when I'm able to ascend from the darkness and be in a good place, it's very hard to realize that others I love are in the darkness and can't see my ascent, nor can I lift them up. Can you speak to this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very important question also. I think it calls for humility also, actually. If I want to go straight to the bottom line of this, I think we've all suffered here from seeing loved ones who have experienced descents without experiencing their ascents, and that we couldn't help them. And there are few things as painful in life than seeing loved ones suffer and knowing that we cannot help them. And here I would say the remedy for me would be humility, would be really to realize that I don't know. I don't know what is their life journey. I don't know what God wants from them. I don't know, what they have to go through yet or still, for how long, and if. And speaking of surrendering my will, because my will is for this person to do this and that so that they can, because I know exactly what would be good for them, right? But it doesn't work this way. Yeah. It would be too easy. And so can we love someone at a distance in a way? Can we love someone and let them free to go through their own ups and downs as much as they need to? And we don't know how much they do, and they probably don't know either. But that's a form of, I think, mature love, humble love, realistic love. I love you. I'll be there for you. You go through what you need to go through. I'm here. But know one thing, especially within family, when I heal myself, not trying to heal you or change you, when I heal myself, I heal the whole family system. I impact for the good. I help the whole family system to ascend. And that's very real.
I believe that. I really believe that. And I notice also in my practice that, part of this work is accepting partial understanding back to the idea of humility. I mean, even in my own self, I have such partial understanding of how my mind works, and so too, all the more so for others in their own journey. Let's see if we can take another question here. I'm looking at Lori asks, would you please help us better understand dedication of my action and intention to the good versus surrendering my will to the divine?
Oh, yeah, that would be my fastest answer. It's the same thing. Dedication. Dedication is for me, dedicating, dedicating is basically lekadesh in Hebrew. Something kadosh is something dedicated. It can be a person, a thing, an animal, a moment. So dedicating is setting aside, surrendering to the divine. And the good is on that side because the divine is the source of life. Good is on the side of life, right? Re'eh. I forgot how he says, but I place before you, life and the good. It goes
Yes.
together. So for me, it's one thing. It's just one thing.
Yes, yes. And that God is mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit, that God is constantly renewing the goodness, and then we can participate in that by choosing the good over and over again.
Yeah. And just this question about how do you stay present during meditation? I think it's a very simple question, but it can be quite useful maybe to people. How do you stay present during meditation? So you can't make yourself stay present during the meditation. What you can is make yourself stay still. And being still is already being present. And so your body is going to be present before your mind can be. And sometimes we come to meditation with such unrealistic expectations that we should be present, that we should be quiet. That no, I'll tell you, when I meditate, I'm very aware that a lot of what I do, it depends on the meditations I do. But when I do simple hashkata practice, which is basically open awareness, thoughts come, they come up. And it's a detox of my mind. It's a detox of my system. And it's not always pleasant, but it's great. I need it because then I'm quieter, because then I'm calmer, I'm emptier, I'm more empty. And so I am being present to thoughts coming here, left, right. It's not a problem. Having many thoughts is not a problem. Presence is chen, is a gift, is grace that comes on its own when the mind is quiet enough. So my bottom line is don't try to be present. Just focus on staying still.
Mm-hmm. That is so helpful and such a good reminder. Mira, is there anything else you wanted to share from today's practice or connected to one of these questions?
I see many, many great questions, and I only feel sorry we can't address them all. I'm trying to see. There's a question from Noah. How might we have a glimpse of the remedy that is there for us in regards to the Gaza war? Is it the coming together of people in Israel? Is it just putting faith outside of me in the divine that the remedy exists? As in Horeni Hashem darkecha. Show me, God, your path. So Noah is raising something really real and really painful. And I would say perhaps the same thing I said as for the meditation, that the remedy is going to be different for each of us, what feels like a remedy. And yes, I believe that perhaps the number one is to ask for guidance, and to keep hoping and to keep believing. I think Jews survived history because of hope. And it's not for nothing that the national anthem of Israel, and I'm so happy with that because I'm coming from France and our national anthem is horribly violent and martial, It's a war, song. And what is the national anthem of Israel? Hatikva, hope. So, yeah, I'll stop here.
Thank you, Mira. I pray all of us will continue to feel resourced from our practice so that we can trust again and again that we will know and we will be able to align ourselves with God's will to bring more goodness into the world and to bring about our own healing in service of a greater healing for us all. Thank you, Mira. Thank you for everyone for being here. Take good care.
Mamash.
We'll see you tomorrow.
And thank you, friends, for your question.